Somebody's got to be a grown person down in that relationship and says, yo, man, you got to get in shape.
Zion Williamson will not be playing for the New Orleans Pelicans in 2 years.
I think it's time for the Pelicans to relocate.
I just don't see superstar Skip. Do I believe he can be an all-star? Yeah, he can be an all-star.
We knew before they drafted Zion Williamson that they were going to find a way to mess this up. We all knew. We all knew that.
If you watch basketball or you appreciate basketball, you got to give respect when it's due.
The Pels prevail. What are we seeing? We are seeing a superstar in the making right now.
Oh my goodness. I don't normally regret making videos, but I felt legit sorry for Zion when he said this recently.
What's your favorite dish? What you looking forward to eating the most?
He trying to set me up. No matter what answer I give, social media gonna clown me.
He's laughing, but it's actually sad that a 22-year-old kid can't even say what he likes to eat for Thanksgiving. But right now, the media were wrong about Zion. They're in first place, and if they can win the title, someone the media hated on even more than Zion will be an all-time NBA legend. The Pels have been a mess since they relocated from Charlotte in 2002. Even drafting Anthony Davis in 2012, they never made it past the second round. To make AD happy, they traded for DeMarcus Cousins at the 2017 deadline, but he tore his ACL and they had to rebuild all over again. So AD demanded a trade in January 2019. When they refused to deal him, it became the most toxic situation in sports. Because AD is so fragile, they chose to bench him down the stretch, but the NBA said you can't do that, so they were forced to play him, and he played horrible. The home crowd booed him, and the coach had to answer awkward questions every day.
To tell you the truth, this whole thing has been a dumpster fire.
So the GM Dell Demps got fired, and they eventually hired David Griffin, who helped the Cavs win a title. 1 month later, they got the first overall pick. The Pelicans staff acted like they had just won a chip. Then Griff traded AD to the Lakers for Lonzo, B.I., Josh Hart, and 4 firsts. So it looked like they had the best young future in basketball, but that expectation set up the front office for the media to tear them apart. Zion got injured his rookie year. Immediately, he had a bad relationship with the front office. The Athletic reported they have been unable to put together the right elements to make Zion and his family happy. Certain family members want Williamson on another team. So last offseason, he scrambled to make moves and got blasted by the media. Refused to pay Lonzo, let him walk for nothing to the Bulls.
If you look at the absolute nuclear waste dump that is the New Orleans Pelicans right now, the idea that they chose not to keep Lonzo Ball, not looking so hot.
They wanted a veteran point guard, but were unable to land Kyle Lowry or CP3, who were actually offered gigantic deals, but thought that New Orleans was just too toxic. Tons of articles came out saying that the GM David Griffin was the problem, but the lowest point was after they hired their head coach Willie Green and started 1-12. Zion was injured again. The media had no problem blaming David Griffin. Even when he traded for CJ McCollum, Bill Simmons tweeted, "Geez, even without including draft picks, New Orleans lost this trade. It's an all-out panic trade by New Orleans." But quietly, they started to turn things around. Before the All-Star break, they were bottom 10 in offense and defense with Zion out. Then after the CJ McCollum trade, even without Zion, their offense and defense were top 10. Rotations changed, young players got confidence, especially with Brandon Ingram having arguably his best season ever. It turned out fringe moves by the front office, like drafting Herb Jones, signing Jose Alvarado, made a huge difference. Not only did they make the play-in, but they had to beat the Spurs and the Clippers, overcoming a 13-point deficit in the fourth. So Pelicans Suns was the easiest playoff series for ESPN to predict. All 16 experts picked Phoenix. Not one of them said it would go past 5 games. Instead, New Orleans had the Suns legitimately scared and took them to 6. This year, mixing Zion in was always going to be tricky because he likes the ball in his hands, but they have figured it out. It turns out everything the media ripped David Griffin for was smart. Lucky they didn't sign Lonzo, that would have been a disaster. Lucky they missed out on Kyle Lowry. He is obviously now way past his prime. CJ McCollum has been amazing since day one. Not just his attitude, happy to be in New Orleans, which is actually huge. His experience playing off the ball with Damian Lillard all those years has helped him next to Zion. If David Griffin constructs a title-winning team in New Orleans? He will be one of the greatest GMs of all time. To do it in Cleveland and New Orleans is 10 times harder than doing it in LA or Miami. But how close are they to actually winning? It all depends on Zion because he's their best player. The good news is he is playing more minutes than ever. Just 8 guys have won 75% of the last 32 Finals MVPs. That list is MJ, LeBron, Tim Duncan, Shaq, Kobe, KD, Hakeem, and Kawhi. Is Zion one of those guys? Well, first of all, you'll notice that only 2 of them are guards, and literally you have to be MJ or Kobe. That's how good a guard has to be the best player. Zion is a big. On offense, he is literally unstoppable. He has guys like D'Lo making excuses after the game.
He's playing football, we playing basketball. We can't touch him or guard him, so good for him.
And by the way, Zion put up 43 on Rudy Gobert in that game, not D'Lo, which shows you how elite Zion is right now. But on defense, oh, if you go back to that list, every guy has made an all-NBA defense team at least 7 times, except for KD, and we all know he is not a negative on defense like Zion has been. In fact, Zion hasn't even sniffed an all-defense second team. He's been so bad. His most exciting non-dunk in college was running all the way across the court, swatting DeAndre Hunter's 3 into the nosebleeds. ESPN said, how many guys that size can run that far, jump that high, and not commit a foul? A lack of defense has been the biggest disappointment on the court for Zion until this year. His numbers are way up. He is giving us defensive highlights like this block on Conchar, this steal on Devin Booker. The Pels are now top 10 offense and defense, which is the exact formula a team needs to win a chip the last 30 years. But I am 100% not picking them to win. I don't care that they're in first place. This is the beginning of their process. Teams need to take steps to break through. The Warriors struggled against the Clippers and the Spurs before they won their first chip. The Bucks had so many losses in the playoffs, people said Giannis couldn't do it. Great teams don't just break through this quickly. I would never pick them to win this year. But we do know the experts were wrong. But they were right about James Harden. This latest rumor comes out from Woj, who is a really legitimate source, okay? And it's that James Harden would be open to coming back to the Houston Rockets. I thought it was an incredibly selfish thing for James Harden or his camp to leak out to Woj, because although, you know, it's good for him and his negotiations down the line, you don't do that right now in the middle of a really good season so far for Philly when Joel Embiid has been healthy. I was so surprised when I dropped this video. A lot of people, I was surprised how many people are like diehard James Harden fans. They see nothing wrong with this. They're not even so sure that James Harden even said this when I think he clearly did. His quote when he defended it was like, well, I'm here right now. I don't know where that came from, but I'm here right now and we're playing well. He could just flat out deny it, but he doesn't. And Woj is a legit reporter. Please watch this video and tell me what you think in the comments.